Hey there. So I just want to go through a quick sort of introductory video, just sort of as an induction, just going through key principles just in relation to your mental health training, if that's okay. So I'm just going to share a presentation just that I've got to go through with each and every learner that just discusses sort of key information that you need to know just before you do start your training with iTech Northeast. So you've recently been enrolled on a mental health program, which is a level 2 certificate in mental health awareness with iTech Northeast. And this is just going to go through some key information such as course content, how many units there are, but also things outside of the course as well, such as like an appeals procedure, and also sort of key information in terms of timeframes as well. Okay. So the first bit I'm going to go through just very quickly is what you're going to cover whilst you're on the program. You may have made a start already on the actual learning, which would be great if you have. If you haven't, don't worry too much about that. You should have gained access to your learning platform, but if you haven't, again, I'll go through the procedure on what you need to do just to get access to that. Okay. Now, in terms of the actual training, it is an accredited training program, which means you do receive a certificate upon completion of this. So once you've passed all of the 13 units, you will be receiving a certificate from NCFE, which I'll go through shortly, which you can use to apply for future jobs. You can add it to your CV, all of that good stuff. So the accredited training program is a level 2 certificate in mental health awareness. So it is a level 2 program, which is the equivalent of a GCSE. In terms of what we're going to be looking at, there are 13 units altogether as part of this training program. Now, that is without a doubt the biggest level 2 qualification that we do offer at iTech Northeast. 13 units is quite a few to go through. So the time frame in which you would be expected to complete this does reflect the level of units within the qualification. So the way that this works is unit 1 is looking at just general mental health. So it's just to try and get a better understanding of what mental health actually relates to. Also things like legislation relevant to mental health as well. And then the remaining units from 2 to 13 specifically look at like a different mental illness within each of those units. So things like stress, anxiety, phobias, depression, postnatal depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, dementia, eating disorders, ADHD, OCD, and PTSD. And that'll be the full 13 units then completed once all of those have been completed. Now, in terms of the actual learning platform that iTech Northeast use, it's called the eQual system. So you may have been receiving an email or receiving numerous emails from the eQual team. When you receive an email from the eQuals team, that is from our direct learning platform. Some of the emails get sent out automatically, so that's not anyone at iTech Northeast controlling that. It's just the system sometimes is sort of designed to send automated emails to learners. Now, you should have received an email from the eQual team initially with your login details. If you haven't, obviously, I will give you my email at the end of this little induction just to contact, and we can sort of work out why that is. But yeah, your login details, sorry, will be in your email address. There'll be a direct link to the learning platform, and I do recommend that you just bookmark that just for ease of purpose when you're trying to get to it in the future. In terms of, there will be a separate link as well on how to use the eQual platform. So another little video like this, or a tutorial, which just covers simply how to use the platform, just to make sure you're okay with that. And you will receive, feedback from your performance within your assignments and assessments directly through the system. That'll be from myself. So everything that you need essentially is located within the eQual system. There's the learning materials that you need to answer the questions. You answer the questions physically within the system, and then when I mark your work, I do give you feedback on how you've done and if there's anything that you need to add on, and that can also be located within the system. So everything is centrally located just for your ease of use and ease of purpose. Okay. Now, when you complete the qualification, as you go through the units, there are different types of questions within these. There are some questions that ask you to describe, there are some that ask you to explain, there are some that ask you to give examples, and there's some that says to identify. Now, as a general rule of thumb, when I mark your work, the questions that you answer which ask you to describe and explain, those really require the most detail. I recommend writing at least like a short paragraph for each answer that asks you to either describe or explain, just to meet like the level of quality that's needed within those questions. If a question asks you to give example or identify, those can be in a bit less detail, but please just make sure that that level of quality is maintained throughout. Okay, so there are different quality requirements for different questions. and describe and explain typically the ones that need the most. Okay, so just keep that in mind, obviously, when you come to answer your questions. There are a couple of things just to mention on this slide. So an appeals procedure. What you need to know as a learner is that you have the right to appeal anything that I say about your work. So if you submit some work to me to mark and I mark your work, I can either pass your work if you've met all of the assessment criteria within your answers, or if there are a couple of things missing, sometimes that might mean that I need to refer that question back to you for you to resubmit and add a bit more in. Sometimes if I do make a referral or send some work back to a learner, you as a learner have you've got to understand that you've got the right to challenge anything that I say. So if you're not happy with anything that I say in relation to your work, if you're not or don't agree with what I'm saying, in theory you can launch an appeal, which we have a strict policy at iTech Northeast in relation to how you would do that. So if you need more information on the appeals process step by step, I can obviously give you that. But if you're not happy, again, you just have the right to challenge anything that I say as a learner. The other point, or the important point here, is plagiarism. So plagiarism refers to when you copy and paste work that isn't your own and you pass it off as your own within your answers. But unfortunately, we can't accept any plagiarism at iTech Northeast within any learner's work. If you do some research outside of the learning platform, you can sort of reference key information that you think might be useful to add in your answer. So if you do see some information that you think, that would be a great point to add in, you can copy and paste certain elements of work from the internet and put it into your work, but this has to be referenced. So in terms of referencing, this relates to sort of like stating where it is that you got it from. If it was a website, if it was a book or something like that. We use the Harvard referencing system, and that's the one that I recommend that you do look into. If you're not sure on how to do this, you can either come to me for support and I can show you this specifically, or if you just went on YouTube and typed in how to Harvard reference, there will be a little guide on how to do that. But yeah, we cannot accept any plagiarized work, but you can reference work. If you do reference a piece of work within your answer, then there still needs to be your own interpretation within your own words of what you've found. So a summary essentially of the answer in your own words has to be included for every answer that you submit. Okay, going back to that level of detail we mentioned earlier, typically it would be a short paragraph information per question. Okay. In relation to just some IAG about the course and where it can lead to and things like that, if you are unemployed at this moment in time and you're thinking about a career that this could potentially help you within, or even if you're thinking about retraining in a new career, this qualification would be great for things like mental health advisors, different types of therapists as well. It would be classed as an entry-level qualification at those two fields. It would also be good for things like social care workers and teaching. So obviously teaching, there's a big stress at the moment on learners' mental health, so having a good understanding of that would be great. And also nursing as well. So there's 5 different career options. That's not all of them, but that's the type of fields that this would be good for. But a lot of people also do this qualification just for their own personal benefit as well. So maybe it is to just get a better understanding of either your own mental health or the mental health of people around you as well, just to support them in a better way. In terms of the last couple of slides now coming up, so this is an accredited qualification, as I mentioned earlier. You do get a certificate for this. It's a level 2 certificate in mental health awareness. Now, the awarding body of this qualification is NCFE. So they are the people who award your certificate at the end of it once you've passed all of your units. iTech Northeast are the training provider, but NCFE are the awarding organisation. If you need any more information about NCFE, they do have a website, which you can see on the screen now, which is www.ncfe.co.uk. But the certificate that you do get, first of all, when you do pass, is completely free of charge, and NCFE will send you this out. But if you do need a replacement one, it would be NCFE that you would contact directly. Okay, so please keep the first one that you get when you pass qualification. Just keep it safe somewhere, okay, just to stop you having to pay like a replacement fee in the future if you do need another one. In terms of expectations, so there will be expectations that you have of me and I have of you as well. So the ones that I have of you would just be to try and work as closely to the deadlines that you get given as closely as possible. There is a due date for every unit assignment that you will find on the actual learning platform. However, sometimes if you don't feel like you're going to make that deadline, or it's just not obtainable in terms of maybe you're very, very busy in your personal life at a certain point in time, if you just communicate that with me, that would be absolutely great, because I can manually change deadlines based on how you're progressing. So although the initial deadlines are given to you, it's not to say that those can't be changed and adapted based on your schedule. It might be that your deadlines might need to be put back, but it also might be that they might need to be brought forward if you've got a lot of free time and you do get a lot of work done. So that's just something to bear in mind. I also expect you to just commit to 100% in terms of the work. So, use the learning resources that are available to you, not only what's in the system as well, but also looking at things like external videos I recommend doing, just to keep the learning fresh for you. And then if you ever communicate with me in correspondence over the phone or through email or through Zoom, just being respectful is all I can really ask of you, and you'll get obviously the same, and if not the top amount of respect from me to you as well. From me, other than that as well, is to receive feedback in a timely manner. So if you do submit some work to me, I will try to get your work marked within 5 days or whenever you submit that to me. And also just to provide any assistance that you need. So all of the learning that you need to do is completely independent. You are, and you do have access to all of the learning materials within the resource given, but sometimes you might need some additional help or support from me. And we can obviously correspond on how we best do that. We could do it through email, we could do it through Zoom, we could do it over the phone, whichever really suits you best, if I'm being completely honest. This is the penultimate slide now. So you have 16 weeks roughly to complete the course. So there are 13 units, if you remember rightly, from slide 3, and you get 16 weeks to complete this. So it's roughly over, or just over, a unit per week that I would try to aim towards. This would be quite a challenge, particularly if you have, or you're currently in work. So just try to work towards those deadlines as closely as you can. Again, it might not be doable within 16 weeks based on your personal circumstances, but we will try to work towards that as closely as we can. But it's just your time, sort of your progress, that I would expect to be communicated with in terms of how much time you're getting towards the course. If you're struggling again, just please let me know and we can go through this together in terms of setting a plan out. Zoom, as I've said, I can give you additional support in whichever way. It could be through Zoom, so face-to-face and in real time, but it could also just be a method that you're more comfortable with, whether that's just through email or something like that. In terms of assessment, so there are the only sort of method that you get assessed by is the answers that you submit to me within your unit. So there's no exams, there's nothing like that you need to worry about. And then finally, if you do need any additional help or you need to contact me for whatever reason, you can find my email there. So it's a.parkin@itechnortheast or itechne.co.uk. My name's Andy, so I'm going to be your tutor throughout the program. So any correspondence on your work or any concerns or queries, if you just come to me directly, we can work through those together. Perfect. That is everything. Obviously, if you do have any questions, anything that you want me to go through with you in a bit more detail, you are more than welcome just to contact me either via email, or my direct number is just on the screen there that you can also see. Please don't hesitate to get in contact, and I look forward to supporting you through your iTech training qualification. Thank you very much.